Have you ever been judged by your appearance, before anyone even knew your name? This is the story of Mia Bennett. A quiet, poised woman walks into her own luxury hotel, only to be humiliated, denied service, and mocked by the very staff she employs. But 5 minutes later, everything changes. Phones buzz. Access is revoked. And in the same lobby where they tried to destroy her dignity, she reclaims her power, and changes the industry forever. This is not just about revenge. It's about reform. It's about truth. And it starts, right now. The valet barely had time to open the door before she stepped out. Mia Bennett didn't wear designer labels or flashy jewelry. No heels that announced power, no loud perfume that screamed wealth. Just a white blouse, tailored black pants, and soft leather flats. To the untrained eye, she was just another traveler walking into the Grand Skyline Hotel in downtown Seattle. But there was something about her presence. A confidence that couldn't be bought. The kind of calm authority that made people turn their heads, twice. Behind the front desk, Mark Sanders watched her approach. Arms crossed. Eyes cold. His well-groomed appearance was matched only by his arrogance. Beside him stood 2 front desk clerks, Jessica Morgan, her smile fake and eyes sharp, and Ryan Mitchell, who looked like he played follow the leader for a living. Mia walked up to the counter. "Good afternoon," she said with a slight smile. "I have a reservation for the penthouse suite. Name's Mia Bennett." Mark didn't flinch. His eyes roamed over her, slow and judgmental. He leaned in. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" The words weren't a question. They were a challenge. A verdict. An insult. Jessica smirked. Ryan didn't look up. A hush rippled through the lobby. Mia's smile didn't falter. "Maybe you should check your system before you say something like that." Mark chuckled, a short, ugly sound. "No need. I know our clientele. Clearly, you're not one of them." The words echoed like a slap. Guests nearby began to murmur. A few pulled out their phones. A woman in the corner, Olivia Gray, a rising travel influencer, lifted her camera and whispered to her assistant, "Ethan, record this." But Mia stayed composed. Her voice lowered, calm and razor-sharp. "I suggest you pull up my reservation one last time, or you'll regret those words." Mark scoffed. "Security can escort you out if necessary." Mia's face didn't move. She slowly retrieved her phone. "Mr. Sanders, you just made the biggest mistake of your career." Gasps. Tension. Silence. And then, she placed her sleek black credit card and her ID on the counter, both embossed in silver with the name Mia Bennett. Mark barely glanced at them. "I don't see this name on our VIP list," he drawled, stretching her name like it was dirt in his mouth. Ryan grabbed the card, declaring, "This card looks suspicious." He opened the small safe beneath the desk and locked it inside. Jessica called security. And Mia stood there, still. Not angry. Not loud. But calm, dangerously calm. "You will pay dearly for this," she told Ryan. He rolled his eyes. Security lined up behind her. "Step outside now," Mark ordered. "This is your final warning." Mia's voice turned to ice. "You will regret this. Don't say I didn't warn you." The air in the Grand Skyline Hotel lobby grew heavy, charged with a silence so sharp it could cut glass. Guests leaned in, phones held discreetly, or not so discreetly, toward the unfolding drama. The scene had gone from awkward to electric in less than 5 minutes. Standing alone but unshaken, Mia Bennett didn't flinch. She didn't explain herself. She didn't plead. She simply turned her head slightly, meeting the eyes of each staff member, Mark, Jessica, Ryan, with the measured calm of a woman who already knew how this story would end. Olivia Gray, now live on her travel channel, whispered to Ethan, "She's not backing down." Something's about to happen. Stay on her. Ethan nodded, his camera now fixed on the safe where Mia's black card had been unjustly locked away like evidence of a crime. And then, a crack in the wall of arrogance. Emily Davis, the young receptionist who had stood quietly behind Jessica, took a small step forward. Her voice wavered, but she pushed through. "Jessica, please, stop this," Emily said, her voice trembling. "Miss Bennett does have a reservation. I confirmed it this morning myself." Jessica spun around, her expression darkening. "Emily, not now." Mark stepped in quickly. "Emily, are you trying to undermine me? Do you want to be fired?" Emily hesitated. Her chest rose with a heavy breath. Then she raised her chin and replied clearly, "If speaking the truth means being fired, then I accept that. But this is wrong." A stunned gasp rose from the lobby. Even Olivia's voice cracked. "Did she just?" Ethan whispered. "She did," Olivia confirmed, tears threatening to rise. Mia glanced at Emily, a soft warmth briefly breaking through her otherwise icy expression. She gave a small, approving nod. Then Mia reached into her pocket again and raised her phone, dialing a number without urgency, yet everyone around her felt the shift in atmosphere. Amanda Wilson, her longtime assistant, answered immediately. "Yes, Miss Bennett." "Initiate Skyline Protocol 3, Mia said clearly. "Secure all security footage. Lock internal systems. Begin legal documentation. We'll be filing immediate terminations." Amanda didn't ask a single question. "Understood. Consider it done." Jessica's face drained of color. Ryan stopped fidgeting with the computer. Mark blinked, once, twice, as if reality had slammed into him all at once. Still, he attempted one final bluff. You think a phone call is going to scare us? You're nothing but a fraud trying to look important." "I'm not trying," Mia replied coldly. "I am important." That's when Ethan spoke up, reading from his live stream. "Someone just commented, that's Mia Bennett. She's the CEO of Skyline Hospitality." The chat exploded. Thousands were watching now. "She OWNS the hotel. OMG. They're humiliating the owner. This is going viral." Jessica stumbled backward. Ryan's hands shook. And Mark, so proud, so sure, looked like he'd been kicked in the chest. Ethan panned his camera down to the safe. "This is the card they locked up. It literally says owner on it. Owner." The word echoed louder than any insult Mark had delivered just moments ago. Still trying to save face, he laughed nervously. "Okay. Let's not blow this out of proportion. It's a simple misunderstanding." But Mia stepped forward, voice unwavering and full of finality. "A misunderstanding," she repeated softly, dangerously. "No, Mark. This is a culture you created. And today, it ends." With one final gesture, she looked toward the stunned security officers and said, "Remove them. Mark Sanders. Jessica Morgan. Ryan Mitchell. They're no longer employed here." No one moved, until one officer finally stepped forward. He nodded slowly. "Understood, Ms. Bennett." Mia turned to Emily. "You still with me?" Emily blinked back tears. "Yes, ma'am. All the way." "Good," Mia said. "You're going to help me rebuild this place from the ground up." And just like that, the storm wasn't coming anymore. It had arrived, and Mia Bennett was its eye. The weight of Mia Bennett's words settled over the Grand Skyline's marble lobby like a thunderclap. Everything that came before, Mark's insults, Jessica's sneers, Ryan's arrogance, now felt distant, like remnants of an old world suddenly shattered. No one dared speak. Not even the security guards, who had minutes ago postured like sentinels. Now, they looked to Mia for instruction. Mark Sanders, flushed red with panic, tried to recover the tattered remains of his dignity. You can't just walk in here and fire people. There are protocols. Procedures. Legal. Mia's voice sliced through his protests. And those procedures are already underway. I built them for moments like this. At that exact moment, a buzz erupted from Mark's phone. He checked it, and the blood drained from his face. On screen was a bright red message, "Access denied, your account has been terminated by Skyline admin." Ryan's phone vibrated next. He looked down and visibly paled. Jessica's knees gave way slightly as she staggered toward the desk, gripping the edge like it might save her from drowning. Mia turned to Olivia and Ethan, who were still streaming live. Everyone watching, remember this moment. We are not just removing a few bad apples. We are burning the entire rotten tree. And we will replant something better. The chat exploded. She's not playing around. Finally, someone taking real action. This is a reckoning. Jessica, her mascara streaking down her face, stumbled forward with a shaky voice. "Please, Ms. Bennett, I didn't mean to disrespect you. I was just following Mark's lead." Mia tilted her head. "You called security on a guest without asking a single question. You smirked when I was humiliated. You locked away my property." Jessica collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry. Please. I have nowhere else to go." For a moment, the lobby was completely still. And then Mia knelt down, just enough to meet Jessica's eyes directly. "I'm not heartless," she said softly. "But I built this company to fight what you just became. If I forgive you now, I send a message that abuse has no consequences. I won't do that. Not anymore." Jessica's sobs turned into trembling silence. Mark stepped forward in desperation. "Mia, be reasonable. One bad moment doesn't erase years of service." Mia stood tall again. "You're right, it doesn't. But it reveals who you really are. And I don't reward cruelty wrapped in tenure." Emily Davis, still standing at Mia's side, watched with growing awe. This was the woman she'd quietly admired for years from a distance, now leading a revolution, not just a hotel. Then, the unexpected happened. From the far end of the lobby, a voice called out, "I was a victim too." It was a middle-aged woman in a red coat, stepping forward from the crowd. "Last year, I made a reservation here and was accidentally bumped for a white guest in front of me. I thought maybe I was overreacting. But now I know I wasn't." Another man stepped up, anger in his voice. "I wasn't allowed to use the gym because my attire didn't match standards. I was wearing Nike." One by one, the stories poured out. The false excuses. The raised eyebrows. The lost reservations. Each guest telling their version of being made to feel less than, dismissed, diminished. Mia turned to the crowd. "Thank you. Your voices matter. Your stories are the foundation of the change we're about to build." Turning to Emily, Mia nodded. "You still have that guest complaint log?" "Yes, ma'am. It's digital. Send it to Amanda. Tell her to begin compiling patterns. We're launching a full internal audit." Emily's eyes lit up. "You mean across all Skyline hotels?" Mia nodded firmly. "Every single one." And just like that, the fight widened. This wasn't about a single hotel anymore. This was the beginning of a movement. As the murmur of validation rippled through the lobby, guests surrounding Mia Bennett stood a little taller. The quiet woman who'd been dismissed moments ago was now leading a truth-telling uprising, and the hotel's velvet-covered mask of luxury was unraveling in real time. Mia took a step forward, her heels clicking softly against the polished marble. She turned to face the security officers still stationed behind her, still awaiting a command. "You're dismissed," she said, her tone unwavering. "You're no longer needed. There's no threat here, only accountability. The lead guard, a tall man with salt and pepper hair and weary eyes, gave her a respectful nod. Yes, Ms. Bennett. With a subtle glance at Mark, Jessica, and Ryan, now shrinking shadows of their former selves, the security team filed out. Silence filled the void. Jessica sat crumpled on the floor, mascara streaks drying on her cheeks. Ryan leaned against the reception counter, staring at nothing. And Mark. Mark Sanders was no longer the polished figure of elitist confidence. He looked like a statue cracked down the middle, brittle from the inside out. That's when Emily Davis spoke again. "I need to say something else," she said, her voice firmer this time. She turned to face the crowd. "I worked under Mark Sanders for 8 months. And during that time, I witnessed a pattern, not just of discrimination, but of intimidation. We were instructed to subtly turn away guests who didn't match the brand," his words. "When I questioned it, I was told that speaking up would cost me my job." Mark barked a dry, panicked laugh. "That's not true. That's slander." But Emily continued, stronger now. "It is true. And I'm not the only one." From behind the desk, another young staff member stepped forward. A quiet woman in glasses, clearly terrified, but emboldened by Emily's courage. "I was told to double-check the bookings of guests who didn't look refined enough. I knew it was wrong. But I needed the job." Olivia swung her live stream toward the new whistleblower, and the chat exploded again. 2 employees speaking up. This goes deeper than just bias. Time to clean house. Mia Bennett is the hero we didn't know we needed. Then a woman in a tailored green suit stepped into the lobby from the side entrance, holding a tablet. She had the composed demeanor of someone used to wielding enormous power from the background. "Amanda Wilson, Chief Operating Officer for Skyline Hospitality," she said, approaching Mia with confident strides. "Everything is in motion," Amanda continued. "Legal has begun processing the termination contracts. IT has revoked access across all platforms. And we've pulled 2 years' worth of internal complaint records from this property alone." Mark's mouth opened, but no words came out. Amanda wasn't finished. "And based on our early review, we have grounds for criminal misconduct tied to falsified service denials. That includes documented evidence of discrimination by name, appearance, and even ethnicity. Audio recordings were discovered, some with your voice, Mr. Sanders." Jessica visibly recoiled. Mia turned toward the guests. "We will make this right. If you've been harmed, you will be contacted. We're setting up a task force to review past treatment at this property and across every Skyline hotel. No more brushing issues under the rug." An older couple in the crowd began clapping. Others joined. Applause rolled like a wave through the room. But Mia wasn't finished. She faced Mark one last time. "You tried to humiliate me. You failed. But more importantly, you tried to protect a system that humiliates people like me every single day. That's what ends today, not just your career, but the culture you built." Mark's face sagged under the weight of that truth. He looked like a man who had finally seen himself clearly in a mirror, and didn't like what he saw. Then Mia turned to Emily. "Effective immediately, you are the new director of guest services for this property." Emily's breath caught in her throat. What? "You've shown integrity. Strength. Compassion. Everything a leader should have. You deserve the chance to shape the future of this place." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. The lobby once again erupted in applause, this time for her. Mia looked around the room and felt something she hadn't felt in years, hope. Not just for her hotels. For something bigger. The applause for Emily Davis roared through the lobby like a celebration of something far deeper than a promotion. It was a recognition of conscience, of courage, of a new chapter just beginning. Guests clapped not only for her, but for what she now represented, the power of a single voice choosing justice over silence. Emily, her cheeks wet with tears, brought a hand to her chest, overwhelmed. "Thank you, Miss Bennett," she whispered. "I won't let you down." Mia smiled gently. "I know you won't. That's why I chose you." Amanda Wilson, ever composed, approached with her tablet still in hand. "Ms. Bennett," she said, "we've confirmed something important. The discriminatory behavior isn't limited to this location." Amanda's voice lowered slightly. "There are patterns in 5 other Skyline properties. Similar denial scripts, targeted, appearance-based reassignments, and there's one common link in all 5. "Patrick Harris," Mia said before Amanda could. Amanda nodded. "Former regional director, still quietly on payroll as a consultant. It appears Mark was just following a culture created by him." The word culture landed heavy. Mia's eyes darkened. "Then we're not stopping here." She turned back to the lobby, which had now become part press room, part court of public opinion. The cameras were still rolling. Live stream still active. But no one moved. Everyone waited to see what Mia Bennett would do next. She took a deep breath. "I want to say something to all of you. And to everyone watching online." The crowd hushed instantly. Today was not an isolated mistake. This was the result of a system where prejudice hides behind policy, where power is abused quietly, and where people like me are expected to walk away quietly. She paused. The room was dead silent. But I didn't walk away. And because I didn't, the truth came out. Mia stepped forward, the light from the chandelier casting a soft glow on her face. "I was once a young woman who got turned away from a roadside inn because I didn't look like I belonged. That night, I slept in my car, shivering in the cold. I swore to myself that if I ever built something of my own, it would never become the kind of place that judged people by their skin, their clothes, or their bank account." She let that memory hang in the air like a quiet oath. "But today, I found out that prejudice doesn't need to knock on the front door, it can slip through the back, in the form of employees we thought we trusted, or policies no one ever questioned." Guests nodded solemnly. Olivia Gray captured every word, her live stream count soaring past 500,000 viewers. "And now," Mia said, her voice rising with purpose, "we are going to root it out. Skyline Hospitality will undergo a top-to-bottom audit. Every employee, from general manager to temp staff, will be retrained. Every regional director, investigated. And Patrick Harris." Amanda stepped forward and added clearly, "will be placed on immediate administrative leave pending legal review." Mia gave a single nod. No one is above accountability. Not anymore. A ripple of applause started from the guests. It grew into thunder once again. From the back of the lobby, the same elderly woman who had spoken earlier stepped forward, holding her husband's hand. "Miss Bennett," she said gently, "you've restored our faith in something that's been broken for too long." Mia's eyes glistened for the first time. "Thank you. But I couldn't have done this alone. It took Emily. It took Olivia. It took all of you speaking up. That's how we move forward, from truth, and from unity." Ryan Mitchell, now pale and silent, tried to approach her again. "Please, Ms. Bennett, is there anything I can do to fix this?" Mia met his eyes. "Yes," she said. "You can leave." Security, no longer conflicted, escorted Ryan quietly out the front doors, followed moments later by a crumpled Jessica and a silent, devastated Mark. The door closed behind them with a heavy thud. Mia turned back to the crowd, and for the first time, she smiled. Not a small, guarded smile, but one of quiet triumph. And yet, in her mind, the mission had only just begun. Even as the heavy doors of the Grand Skyline Hotel closed behind Mark, Jessica, and Ryan, the echoes of their downfall lingered in the lobby like smoke after a fire. But it was no longer the choking smoke of injustice, it was the cleansing scent of truth burning through old lies. Mia Bennett exhaled deeply, her shoulders lowering slightly as the weight of years, of silence, of watching others suffer quietly as she once had, began to lift. But she knew this wasn't a victory lap. It was the start of a new chapter, and the hard work of rebuilding was just beginning. Amanda stood by her side, tablet in hand, already sending out policy review memos to the entire Skyline corporate structure. "We've locked Harris's accounts and flagged all communications tied to his tenure. Legal will start interviews with past whistleblowers tomorrow morning." "Good," Mia said. "Tell every property GM to prepare for live audits. We'll go unannounced." Amanda glanced up. "And you, Mia? You're going in person?" Mia gave a wry smile. "Starting with Chicago. Then Atlanta. This doesn't get cleaned up from a boardroom." As Amanda nodded and moved to execute the plan, Olivia Gray stepped forward from the crowd, her camera lowered now. Her voice was softer, more personal. "Miss Bennett. Mia. I've covered hotel launches, culinary debuts, even political rallies. But nothing like this. You turned what should have been a private insult into a national conversation." Mia met Olivia's eyes. "Because it never was private. It never is. That moment in the lobby, that happens to someone, somewhere, every day. Most of them just don't have a camera rolling or the power to respond." Olivia looked down for a moment. "I used to be one of them. I kept quiet. But today, watching you, I remembered my voice." Ethan, standing nearby, turned his live stream back on and said, "You're watching a woman not just change a hotel, but an industry." More applause rang out. Mia turned back to the guests, many of whom were still gathered. Some had cancelled plans to stay and witness this. Others had joined midway after hearing the viral buzz online. "I know many of you didn't expect to be part of a movement today," Mia said, addressing them all, "but that's exactly what happened. And I need your help. Every guest deserves respect, no matter where they come from, what they wear, or what they look like." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a new contact card, one printed not with gold foil but plain white matte. "This is the new Skyline feedback hotline. Direct to me. If you ever experience discrimination at one of our properties, I want to know. Not tomorrow. Not weeks later. Immediately." The gesture stunned the crowd. It wasn't just corporate fluff, it was personal. Vulnerable. Real. And it was the final nail in the coffin for Skyline's old image. Something new was being born, something with heart. Mia turned to Emily and said, "I want you to begin assembling a new staff here. People who care more about character than credentials. Make diversity a mandate, not a metric." Emily's eyes sparkled with excitement and nervous energy. "I will. I promise." Just then, a young girl who had been quietly clinging to her mother's hand stepped forward shyly. "Miss Bennett," the girl said, "are you going to make all hotels nice like this one now?" The lobby chuckled gently, and Mia knelt down so she was eye level with the child. "Yes, sweetheart," she said, smiling. "That's exactly what I'm going to do." The mother mouthed, "Thank you," and quickly ushered her daughter back. In that moment, Mia wasn't a CEO. She was a protector. A builder. A beacon. Amanda reappeared. "The media's here. Major outlets. Local news. National press. Do you want me to clear them out?" Mia stood, adjusted her jacket, and shook her head. "No. Let them in." Because for the first time in a long time, Mia Bennett had nothing to hide. Only something to share. As the glass doors swung open and reporters rushed into the Grand Skyline lobby, Mia Bennett remained composed. Flashes burst like fireworks, microphones extended like curious fingers, and voices began overlapping. "Miss Bennett, is it true you fired your entire front desk team on the spot? What triggered this confrontation? Was this planned?" Mia raised one hand, and the room, already conditioned to her quiet command, fell into respectful silence. This wasn't planned, she began. But it was necessary. She took a breath, eyes scanning the growing sea of faces, some skeptical, some awestruck, some still searching for the angle. She didn't care about their spin. She cared about the truth. "I didn't fire anyone to make a statement," she said slowly, deliberately. "I removed people who violated our deepest values. The Grand Skyline doesn't just sell luxury rooms. We offer dignity, inclusion, safety. And today, that promise was broken in the most public, shameful way." She gestured to Olivia, Ethan, and Emily. But it was also defended. By the brave. By those who refused to stay silent. And that's why this day won't end with punishment, it will begin with change. Emily Davis, still slightly dazed by the whirlwind she'd been swept into, stood at Mia's side like a newly minted general ready to lead a new battalion. The applause from guests, press, and even former skeptics poured in like a tide reclaiming a wounded shore. Then Mia turned to Amanda. "Update the investor board, we're launching the Skyline Justice Initiative. Full audit. Transparency reporting. Guest treatment surveys at every site. We won't just fix this, we'll lead." "Yes, Ms. Bennett," Amanda said without missing a beat. A few feet away, Olivia Gray, no longer just a vlogger but now a vital witness to a cultural moment, whispered to her phone's camera, "This is what real leadership looks like. No spin. No excuses. Just action." One of the reporters stepped forward. "Miss Bennett, may I ask, why didn't you reveal who you were right away? Why let it play out?" Mia looked directly at him. "Because the way they treated me when they thought I was no one, that's the truth. If I'd said my name up front, they would have smiled, handed me champagne, and hidden their bias. I didn't want their best behavior. I wanted their real behavior." A murmur of agreement spread. Another reporter asked, "What do you say to those who believe this was a one-off incident? That it's being blown out of proportion?" Mia didn't hesitate. "I say you haven't been paying attention. This wasn't a spark, it was a spotlight. And the shadows it revealed have always been there." A woman in the crowd called out, "Thank you for standing up for us." Mia turned to her and smiled. "It's time someone did." Then, from the side, a hotel maintenance worker, an elderly black man in a faded navy uniform, stepped forward, emotion trembling in his voice. "Miss Bennett, I've worked here 17 years. Never seen anyone do what you just did. I just want to say, thank you. For giving us a reason to believe again." The room went silent. Mia stepped toward him, shook his hand, and whispered, "It's people like you who built this place. I'm just restoring it." Cameras clicked. The moment was real. And then, one last scene unfolded. Guests began walking up to Emily Davis, thanking her, shaking her hand, some even hugging her. She had become the quiet hero who chose truth over fear. Mia watched it all, the lobby transformed from a place of judgment and exclusion into a hall of reckoning, accountability, and hope. She knew the headlines would come fast. Black CEO exposes racism at her own hotel, fires staff on the spot. Skyline Hospitality promises sweeping reform after viral incident. Mia Bennett, from humiliation to revolution. But none of that mattered as much as the ripple effect now set in motion. As the reporters began to filter out and staff started to regroup under Emily's direction, Amanda approached. "What now?" Mia's eyes lifted to the hotel's chandelier. "Now," she said, "we build something better. One room, one guest, one standard at a time." Amanda smiled. "The whole world's watching." "Good," Mia said. "Let them." Because the Grand Skyline was no longer just a hotel. It was now a promise. A pledge. And under Mia Bennett's watch, it would become the gold standard for fairness, not just in hospitality, but in humanity. This was the story of Mia Bennett, a woman who refused to shrink beneath injustice, even when it came from her own empire. Through silence, through prejudice, through humiliation, she stood tall. And in standing, she helped others rise with her. Because the world doesn't change through noise. It changes when someone with power chooses to use it for good. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or mistreated, remember Mia's story. Sometimes, the quietest voice in the room carries the greatest power. True hospitality begins with respect, and that starts with us. Share this video if Mia's story moved you. Comment below, what would you have done in her shoes? And subscribe to True Echo for more powerful stories that prove, even in silence, justice echoes loudest.